Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. We're going to talk about the rest of the books I read in May that are not included in another video. So there's not that many of them because I already did a first half of May where I talked about all the books that I've read. And then now in the second half of May, a lot of the books that I've read have been the new releases for the new release videos. So if you haven't seen those, please make sure to go check them out. And then you won't miss any of the things that I read or that I talked about. So first of all, I have these broken down into genres, and we're going to start with nonfiction. So the only nonfiction that I finished in the second half of the month is Fat Girls Hiking. This is a book that I did as a buddy read with Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot and from Amy at A Star Reads. And it was just a really nice book to read and discuss with them. There was a lot of information in there about people going hiking for the first time who haven't hiked and like the information that they need to know. But there was also things in there about buying clothes for hiking for plus sized people. Like it's just not available. And so we all got to like discuss some of the things that we've noticed and some of the things that have happened when we've gone shopping for certain things, trying to buy a backpack or trying to buy certain hiking gear and all that kind of stuff. And that's what she was talking about in the book. And so it was just a really good look at what happens when people who are plus sized want to go hike. It can be good and bad at the same time. But she has started a movement where you can get together in groups of people and you have a host and they host the hike and you go hiking. So I'm definitely going to be looking into it and seeing if there's anything near me where we're going to be up in North Dakota and see if there's any way I can join one of these groups. The next genre, completely switching subjects, takes us to horror. And the only horror book that I finished in the second half of the month was The Outsider by Stephen King. And I read this because I'm preparing for Holly that's coming out in September and I want to read it. And so I've been reading Mr. Mercedes. That whole trilogy was about Bill Hodges. And in the Bill Hodges trilogy, we meet Holly. And so now in The Outsider, Holly is in it. I had a really, really hard time with The Outsider. There were some long, like over 10-minute rants about gratuitous violence that I feel like does not need to be put in these books. Like Stephen King is a very good writer. I think that he is so good at creating characters, and especially when it is like an ensemble characterization situation, I love it. This was too much. And this coming right on the heels of me reading The Dome, it was just too much on top of too much. And I probably should take a break, or maybe I need to have a break, although I'm reading another Stephen King right now. But this is different so far, the other one I'm reading. So anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about what I finished. So I finished The Outsider in preparation for Holly coming up in September. I like the character of Holly. I love her. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens between me and Stephen King, but I did finish that book. Now, let's move over to fantasy. I finished 2 fantasy books in the second half of the month. They're both older books that were, well, they're not older books, so we're not talking classics, but they have been on my TBR for a while. The first one is Cemetery Boys, and I kind of knew what to expect about this, but the things that I had heard about this were not at all what I feel like I got from this book. This book was so good, talking about the belief system or the religious system that's all tied into the magic, and the way the magic works in this story is so good. But at the heart of it, we're just dealing with a kid who said, like, this is who I am. And his mom was like, okay, I got you. And then she died, and he feels like that the other people are pretending to understand and pretending to get him, but not really getting him. And so this book, we explore what it means to try to step out of the gender norms that people put you in, and to say, like, this is what I want to do, and this is who I am, and this is what I want to do, and trying to convince other people of it. At the same time, they are also trying to solve a mystery, actually 2 mysteries in one, and dealing with a ghost It is all kinds of stuff wrapped up in here, and it was so good. I loved all the characters in this. It was just a really good book and a really good time. I had a great time reading it. Speaking of great time, the next fantasy book I read was Legendborn. First of all, I thought this was going to be a fantasy like we're in the medieval times or we're in another world in a different time. I didn't know it was going to be like a girl going to college. I was like, what? So I was so pleasantly surprised by this book, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what people mean by dark academia, I think. Anyway, it involves secret societies and blood magic, and so good. So good, so good. This girl speaking with her ancestors and dealing with all of that stuff, this book was so phenomenal. I have already gone to get the next one, and I will be reading it. I really, really enjoyed this one. And usually, I'm not big on these YA new adult situations. This was so good. I cannot believe that I waited so long to pick this up. It's been on my TBR forever. Now, finally, the last book that I have read, the last one I have finished for the month, is the next J.D. Robb. So we're switching to mystery. This one was Apprentice in Death. This actual mystery of this one was solved in about 40% of the book. And then we spent the other 60% pursuing. There was more than one killer. So pursuing the first killer, they decided to split. So then we've got to pursue the second killer. And in the midst of all of that, her best friend's little girl is turning 1 years old. So this is a long distance serial killer, they call it, an LDSK. And it's a sniper situation. So good. So good. I liked so many things about this, especially in those interrogation moments where you know that Eve knows more than the person she's interrogating. It gives me feelings of The Closer. If you ever saw that a long time ago, Kira Sedgwick did such an amazing job in that TV show. And so that is who Eve reminds me of when she's coming in there to close these cases in the interrogation room. Anyway, I love it so much. Of course, I'm so glad that I'm one step closer to getting caught up with the In Death series. So that is it. Everything else that I finished is going to be coming out in another video. All the new releases that I have finished will come out at the end of the summer when I talk about all the summer releases that I have read in all the different genres. So I'm not going to do one giant video. I'm going to break it down by genre, just like I did with the intro videos. So if you have not seen those videos, I'm going to link it at the end right here, and you can go check out the playlist of all the new releases that I'm hoping to read. I want to know, though, about this month. Have you guys read any of these books? Have you read Legendborn? Have you read Cemetery Boys? Did you read book 2 of Legendborn? Because I want to make sure that it's just as good as the first one when I go into it. This is the next to the last video of me in this room before we move. One video left. My June TBR video will be in this room, and that's it. We're moving. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.